Formed 2015 as a project, an operational project of the foundation, the Kosovo Foundation for Open Society, that got established in 2003, along with RIINVEST Institute and Kosovo Action for Civic Initiatives, 3 organizations joining their efforts, joining their resources and forces to influence policy making. The reason for this was that it was that time when Kosovo's European perspective started entering the political rhetoric of national and international political actors. So for these guys, or these leaders of these organizations, it became clear that we need to develop our policy-making resources internally much better. That meant that as of 2003, Forum 2015 conducts studies, policy studies, and advocates constantly towards better governance of the country, always looking into issues that are of high political priority and are not necessarily tackled by other actors of civil society. Right now, we are looking into 2 different issues. One of them is looking into the impact that Ahtisaari plan has had on state building process. The reason for this is the fact that the supervision of the independence is coming to an end, and we are trying to measure the impact it has had. We will look into things that have been implemented, things that have not been implemented, and then we are going to identify what are the tasks that remain for us to do on our own after the plan has been declared as completed. That's one thing. The other issue that we are looking at is we are trying to identify the values that Kosovo brings to the European Union. Anytime you talk to the EU officials about Kosovo's EU perspective, they will come and ask you, so what does Kosovo offer to the European Union? We are trying to go beyond that rhetoric of political and economic stability in the region and prosperity and the narrative that we used to hear. We are trying to identify own values that maybe we never tackled so far, or we have not seen them and they have just been there for us and for the rest. Doing policy studies, that means that you produce a paper of 20, 30, 35, 33, 23 pages. And in a dynamic life, it's sometimes impossible to read all the reports and all the studies that you want to, first of all, but then also the target group that you're reaching out to through our studies is limited. That means that you reach out to people in the civil society, in the government, in the international community, and depending on the topic, sometimes on the private sector. The public audience, the ordinary citizen, are not always informed through the policy studies. And this is not a unique case for our country. I'm convinced that this is a case for all over the world. So, in order to make our findings known to a wider audience, informing the audience about those findings and presenting in public our recommendations, since a few years now, we have adopted the visual presentation form as informing the audience. That visual form so far applied were documentaries ranging between 25 and 50 minutes, or sometimes we would have both short and long version of the documentary, up to a short one that we had recently of 10 minutes on urban development and urban chaos. The documentaries then get uploaded on our website, same as the policy studies, but as it's easier to watch a documentary of 30 minutes than read a study of 30 pages. We're just being realistic, and we're trying to. On the other hand, we're also trying to be as creative, applying the same method of advocacy, applying the same form of spreading out the information constantly. Becomes a form of nuisance for us, doing the same thing all the time, but then also for public getting the information in the same manner all the time. So that's why we're trying to diversify and in that way increase the impact of our work. And also the documentaries then reach out to, I already mentioned, to a wider audience. They go across the borders in a sense much better than a study. Although everything is uploaded on the website, documentaries appeal to people. So that's the reason why we apply them more often. And sometimes it also follows a study, because our documentaries are not pure documenting of perceptions only. They are always based on previous research, hard work done, so they act as our added value, as the added value to our advocacy effort. PASOS is a network that spreads out to the entire Central and Eastern Europe, and because a lot of these countries already come out from a centralized system, and they all have European perspective, and they all go through similar challenges of internal reforms, then the members of PASOS become a valuable asset for the foundation and the Forum 2015, because that's the way how we share our knowledge, how we share our experience, and how we learn from the others. So it's a resource that is unprecedented, but on the other hand, it's also an important network that makes our advocacy efforts known beyond Kosovo borders or beyond Brussels. If you remember, a few years ago, soon after Kosovo declared independence, with PASOS members, we put together a joint declaration or joint statement of its members that PASOS does support Kosovo's inclusion in the visa liberalization policy, so Kosovars are not isolated, and that Kosovo needs European perspective, same as the others. So it's the more you are, the merrier, as one would say, but on the other hand, more forces we join, more powerful our voice.